Welcome back to the second episode of Booze and Bourbon.
Woo.
I'm Kim.
I'm Jen.
And we are your ghostesses with the mostesses. So happy Halloween, everybody. We're going to do a little Halloween special, and we're also going to go over some findings from the RCAF Beaverbank, which is a radar station that is now abandoned. So we went there for a little adventure, and we did find some things that were a little creepy. So to set the mood for today, where are we, Jen?
Well, we're currently sitting in the Atlantic, I think Dartmouth Funeral Home here out on Main Street. I got a lot of family members in here, just keeping it real Dartmouth, keeping it real over here.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting to be here on Halloween and being in a graveyard. So since our last episode, we've had a lot of people share a lot of stories with us.
Yes.
I know I've gotten a lot of stories. And one thing that I find really interesting is whenever I'm talking to people about this podcast and what we're doing, every single person, and I mean like I'm 100% right now, every single person has at least one story for me.
Yeah, I can agree with you on that one.
So it's just kind of interesting that, we're not the only ones that are fascinated with this, because clearly there's something out there. There's something going on. There's life after this world, I think.
And even if they don't believe, they still have a story to share that they may or may not actually believe in, but at least something bothered them enough to remember that, to share it with us.
That's right, yeah. So we're going to go through a few of these stories, and like I said, we're going to talk about our little expedition to the RCAF Beaverbank radar station. But first, we need our bourbon expert, Ryan, to tell us about the bourbon that we've chosen. And of course, we have Ryan back, our favorite bourbon lover. Ryan, what are we having?
We're having some Wild Turkey, which got its name from a distiller who was testing whiskey out from the warehouse with his friends on a hunting trip, hunting wild turkey. So we've got Long Branch here, which is the first time ever a Wild Turkey bourbon has been signed or has the signature of somebody's name other than the master distillers, Jimmy and Eddie Russell. This person is Matthew McConaughey.
Ooh, a celebrity.
He's their creative director. So we are going to toast to some Long Branch.
All right, let's have a little sip here.
It has a fairly low alcohol volume in this. It's 43%. So most of the tastes are fairly muted just from the low alcohol. But we're getting some kind of caramelly apples, a little bit of sweetness that gives way to the peppery, spicy signature that is Wild Turkey. It is distilled normally as 8-year bourbon, and then they go ahead and filter it in a mesquite and charcoal, Texas mesquite and charcoal.
Gotcha.
And that's kind of where this Matthew McConaughey steps into this bourbon. So you're tasting a little bit different filtration on this, but it is very good.
It is very good. Thank you, Matthew McConaughey.
So I guess sticking with Matthew, Matthew McConaughey once admitted that when he first moved into his Hollywood home, he was visited by an older woman he called Madame Blue. Being McConaughey, he went to investigate the strange noise in his house without wearing any clothes in his typical fashion, and the two of them made peace, apparently. He said, "She has no qualms with me. We get along just fine. She's a cool ghost. Maybe me being nude and all is why we get along so great." And judging by his body in most movies, I would say that probably is the case. Yeah, that's why she's totally fine with it.
The ghost would probably be pretty friendly after she saw him completely naked.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice. Well, I also have a little story about a celebrity and a ghost.
Oh, good. Go for it.
You know I love Tupac, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm on the fence. I don't know if Tupac's dead or alive, but Kendrick Lamar seems to think that he is absolutely dead.
Oh.
Because Kendrick Lamar says he's been visited by Tupac's ghost, When he was 21, he had passed out on his sofa after a long session of recording, being in the studio.
Mm-hmm.
And shortly after he awoke, he saw the silhouette of Tupac, and it scared the shit out of him. He said, Tupac told me to keep doing what I was doing and to not let his music die.
Oh, shit.
Kendrick says that he's had other ghostly encounters of relatives after they've passed away, but the visit from Pac was on a whole other level.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That is kind of cool.
But I want Tupac to be alive.
I also want him to be alive, so I'm going to disagree with that and hope that that didn't happen.
Yeah.
He's just traveling around the world right now.
He is. He's in
unknown
South
places.
Africa.
Yes. We went
Or
over
Cuba.
this. We're also equally obsessed with Tupac being alive as we are with ghosts, just so everyone's aware. So we're also hunting him down as well, just so we're clear.
Yeah.
All right. So as a little recap, back to Beaverbank here. Aside from us not really being sure where we were going, we found a couple buildings in behind the now new seniors home that's there. We realized that we had to follow this other road kind of far back, and then leave our car and get out and walk a fair distance.
Yeah, so we had to go on Google Maps to find out exactly where we were going. The road's pretty beaten up, so you can't exactly drive a vehicle back there. So we had to walk about like a kilometer.
Which felt way worse than the cold and the wind.
Yeah, it was awful. But a little backstory on this radar station. So it was an operation from 1953 until about 1963. Mm-hmm. And it was a military base where they would try to listen to any signals or anything coming from any other countries, and just basically as a warning station. So after it was shut down, it was used as a concrete pouring company. Mm-hmm. And that is where 3 people that are known of tragically lost their lives. One was an electrician. One was killed by a giant prefab wall of concrete. And another one is rumored to have died in the poured concrete. Mm-hmm. So it's really hard to say where that body is now. I don't know if they've ever recovered it or...
if it's in the wall.
Yeah.
Or in the basement or in any part of it. Could be potential.
Yeah. So just knowing that information was definitely creepy. And as we were walking to the radar station, there's so much graffiti, and some of the things that were written on that road literally scared the shit out of us before we even got there.
Like, go back, she's in there.
It follows you.
Yeah, it follows you.
It was crazy. So we finally got there, and there was nobody else there. It was pretty abandoned. We did get some voice recorder. We got the voice recorder out, and we had some struggles with our cell phones.
And struggles getting in, since I kind of climbed up the wall and then realized I may be vertically challenged and not be able to get in the window without a little boost. So it's not the easiest place to get into, but we made it work.
Exactly. So we started walking around the building, and we found this like little hole kind of burrowed out of the side of a concrete wall. And we took our phones and we went to go take pictures of what it looks like inside. And so, Jen, you tried to use your phone with the flash.
Mm-hmm. And it wouldn't let me.
It wouldn't
times.
Yeah. And it wasn't saving the pictures.
No.
And so then I'm like, well, let's just use my phone. And so we went to use my phone, and it said flash is disabled, even though like we were helping each other make sure that the flash was turned on.
Yeah.
So it was kind of strange. Also, the wind was whipping through there. And when we played it on the voice recorder, it sounds super creepy. So we're going to let you hear what the wind sounds like.
It's not saving anything. Let's use my phone.
So I guess we did get something, but we didn't realize we got anything until after the fact. So we used the voice recorder. I held it inside the hole, and we were asking questions. I think we asked like, are we here alone? Or we were just asking random questions.
And
more or
this
less.
was all happening while we were having our troubles with our phone.
Correct.
And what we think we heard was no phone. And it sounds like a male voice.
It's definitely a man speaking, but to anybody I've played it to, they said the same thing. You can't really tell what he's saying, but it did sound like something phone or no something. Again, hard to tell, but we will play that as well in here. Here you go. So then we walked over to this weird oval, I don't even know what it would be, like a watershed of some sort, maybe.
Yep.
I used
So that was just Jen's phone that said it doesn't sound good, and
Yeah.
we're kind of freaking out right now because Siri also agrees.
Siri agrees. I don't know where the fuck that came from, guys. Sorry about the swearing, but it's a new phone, and apparently she really just, she
Wow.
like it.
Okay, so where were we? We were
So
talking about the watershed.
At the watershed.
Yes.
I crawled up and stood up and put my arm in with the voice recorder into another hole. We asked questions again, and I think I said, "Are we in the right place?" And both of us at the same time heard this weird sound. I mean, it could have been potentially an animal, but
It could have been, but it came like from behind us, and I immediately said, "Did you hear that?" And I can play that clip too, but it's so hard to hear that you might not hear it on here.
And I guess the big thing would be is that it was so windy out there that for you to hear something through the wind would mean that it was obviously loud
Yeah.
because it was just blowing constantly. So for us to both to hear that sound behind us, like
Yeah.
it would obviously have to be something that was,
Yeah,
louder than normal.
absolutely.
It wasn't on the voice recorder. It was just us hearing it by ourselves.
So definitely odd experiences for sure. It was just an all around weird feeling while we
Yeah.
were there. Like somebody's watching you, like you're not supposed to be there.
Well, given that all those doors and windows are like 20 feet above the ground,
Mm-hmm.
you do feel like you're being watched because you can't actually see up there. It's just a dark, empty window or door that we keep looking in, trying to see if we see something, but you can't really see anything.
But
So
you
then,
think you see something. So on our way back, now mind you, I had only taken about 5 pictures with my phone, and Jen was trying to take pictures with her phone. I didn't do any voice recording from my phone. We had a separate voice recorder. So as we started to walk down the hill back to my vehicle, I went to look at my phone and it wouldn't turn on because it was so dead, which is very strange because we were only there for about 30 minutes.
not even, I don't think, like maybe 25, 30 minutes, I guess.
Yeah.
Right?
So that's definitely something to ponder as well. But it was fun. I don't
Yeah.
know if I'd ever want to go there during the dark, like complete dark.
Yeah, not really. Well, and I mean, if you YouTube it, there's obviously lots of people that have done it. The other Ghost Hunter show did go there. They found all kinds of weird things inside and heard and tracked all kinds of stuff on their voice recorder. Again, not the safest place to get into, so I wouldn't suggest going and trying to get in unless you're 7 feet tall. So
Exactly.
yeah, that's about it.
So that was a super fun experience. So I guess maybe I'll talk a little bit about my own scary experience that I've had. I lived in PEI for a little while. I was going to college there. And during the time that I was living in PEI, I had moved around to a couple of different apartments. And I really needed to find a new apartment. So I found this listing in the newspaper and I went to go meet the landlord. And they showed me this one apartment. And it was really nasty carpet, smelled like cigarette smoke. And I kind of wondered if there was another spot in the building that might be vacant. So I walked up to the next floor and there was a view on that floor and everything. This apartment didn't have a view, but it had new carpet in most of the areas of the apartment. And I said, "Is this one available?" And the landlord was a little hesitant on whether or not. He's like, "Well, it's available, but it won't be ready for another couple of weeks." Didn't really think much of it. So I started doing my research. Like whenever I move into a new area, I always go on Google and I try to find out information about the area. And it turns out that there was a lady who was unfortunately hacked to death with a hatchet by her ex-boyfriend,
Unfortunately, yes.
ex-husband. he was like high on cocaine. And anyway, so unfortunately this woman had passed away, but one of my friends came over and I asked her, I said, is this the area that poor lady died? And she's like, you don't want to know the answer. And I'm like, no, but I do. Like, I know it was an apartment over this side of town. And she's like, yeah, you really don't want to know the answer. So that didn't really sit overly well with me. I was having a bath one night and I felt the sides of the bathtub, and it was literally like somebody had taken a super sharp object and smashed the inside of the bathtub and then also tried to scour anything that was there. So my mind started running a little bit. And then I realized that the carpet had been changed in the bedroom, not in the guest bedroom, but in the bedroom, in the hallway, and in the living room. So
That's pleasant.
I know, right? So I'm trying not to think about it too much, but the guy I was dating at the time, he was hanging out in the living room, and I decided to go to bed, and I heard him walk down the hallway, and he opened the door, and I'm like, yeah, what did you want? And so then I run back down to the living room because he wasn't there, and he's sitting there watching TV. He's like, what? I'm like, did you not just come down to the room? He's like, no. So I'm like, well, what the heck happened? So I had gone back home to Nova Scotia for a weekend, and he was staying there by himself. And he actually heard somebody whisper his name in his ear, and that really freaked him out. And he also ended up having another friend come over, and in that experience, like that whole experience, they woke up in the morning and all of the kitchen doors, cupboard doors were wide open.
Oh.
So I don't really know what to say about that, but it was definitely creepy, and I always had a weird feeling when I was there.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a gooder.
Yeah. Do you have your own experience to share or somebody else's?
Well, yeah, I got Dave Taylor had a story to share with everyone. Dave being my dad. So he spends a great deal of time hunting during hunting season. Him and my uncle Eddie go to New Glasgow most often because they have a hunting camp there. Before they built the hunting camp they have now, their other friend that goes with them had like a family farm that was left to them.
Yeah.
So they had kind of turned the old farmhouse into their hunting camp because it was super old. They knew that they weren't going to be able to resell it.
Right.
I think it was his grandparents or something. So they had all obviously passed away. I'm not really sure the details to that, but none of them were living, and it was left to him. So more or less they would use it, go hunting. That was about it. So on their like fourth trip there, my uncle Eddie, who, if you had ever met him, he's quite humorous. He's all over the map and very entertaining. But also isn't like into the whole paranormal thing, nor is my father for that matter. So I guess, on the fourth trip down there, he made a point to say to my dad that he wanted him to move his cot closer to the door because he doesn't like that, the guy's grandmother comes down and stares at him at night.
What?
And my dad was like, what are you talking about? Because he's like, there is no grandmother. He's like, yeah, his grandmother comes down here in her house coat and just stares at me at the doorway. And he was like, she's like giving me the eye like she wants me. And he was like making a joke like,
oh my
she's really feeling me. And Dad was like, okay, well, she's not alive. So I don't know who's looking at you, but if she's maybe she wants to be your ghost girlfriend, I'm not really sure. So my uncle was like legit didn't know that she had passed away. Just like
he actually thought it was
a real person. So he was like, your creepy ass grandmother keeps coming down here and staring at me in my sleep. He's like, I'd wake up and she's just standing there like just gawking at me. And he's like he was kind of making it funny because he really legit thought that maybe she was a little senile or was like losing her mind and just didn't know, like she forgot that they were all there. So then Dad and the other guy, who it would have been his grandmother, were dying laughing, but they were like, no, she's definitely passed away. So if you're seeing her, she's not actually living, and maybe she's pissed that you're sleeping in her living room on her cot. Not really sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was what Dad had to share.
I have a story. Yeah. I've got a story from, we're going to call him Jbone.
Okay.
Okay. So he wrote this to me in an email, so I'm just speaking as if it was him. So basically, back when I lived in an apartment building in Dartmouth, I had a BlackBerry with a very special ringtone that was the same one from the movie Crank with Jason Statham. The ringtone sounded like a phone dying slowly. One night I went to bed and I had put my phone on the nightstand beside the bed like I always do, and I turned it off completely. In the middle of the night, I woke up because I could hear something, and when I finally realized what it was my cell phone ringing, but it was coming from the kitchen. Then I looked over at the nightstand, and my cell phone was still there and still turned off. I lived in the building beside Micmac Mall, and every one of my neighbors was a senior citizen that was at least 80 years old or older. I knew for a fact they did not have my ringtone on any of their phones, and probably didn't even have a cell phone.
She probably had the old dial-up phone.
Exactly. I then got up and walked very slowly towards the kitchen, which was on the opposite corner of the apartment, and there was nobody there. No cell phone, and the ringing stopped the second my eyes laid on the kitchen. To this day, I still have no idea what happened that night. I was a little freaked out, though, to say the least. I'd say. I've got a little voice clip here as well. Bear with me.
Jbone.
It's good. I like it. I like it.
Okay. So, I guess I got another one.
Awesome.
I actually have two, and they both relate to both of my grandfathers. One, which is laying right beside us, actually, since he's over there in that grave.
Hey, Gramps.
Poppy. Yeah. My mom laughs because she thinks that this is where I get my obsession with paranormal is from him.
Yeah?
Because he used to always tell them stories. But I didn't realize that he had a legit story that actually caused a woman by the name of Helen Creighton, who writes a lot of paranormal books.
Oh my gosh, I have so many of her books.
To include this situation in one of her books.
Wow.
Because she actually, I guess, said that there's 3 poltergeists known in Nova Scotia.
Okay.
Or she's, I guess, encountered them, or she's studied them, and that's where the books came from. So one of these 3 poltergeists lived beside my grandfather in Eastern Passage, which
No
apparently
way.
there's all kinds of ghosts out there, which I didn't know. So my grandfather lived out at the end of Hines Road in Eastern Passage. The house right beside him, this is where he grew up, there was a young girl who at this time would have been between either 12 or 13 years old. I guess the other kids always picked on her just because she was a little different. And they all knew that something was a little off with her.
Okay.
So I guess my grandfather said when they would be outside playing, she would levitate objects in the house and stick them out the window. So she would open the window, and I guess one time she put like a broomstick out. So she like shot it out sideways, so it was just levitating over the ground, and brought it back in. She like would lift a chair up and like float around because she knew that the boys were watching. So she knew they could see her, but she was doing it purposely, like, just to prove that she could do it, but, like,
Unreal.
creeping them out at the same time. So my grandfather always felt really uncomfortable living beside her because he was always, like, afraid to go out in his backyard.
She could put hex on me.
She'd be putting spells on him or, like, throwing random things at him. So
That's one neighbor you don't want to piss off.
Exactly. So I guess this kind of carried on. I don't know what's going on with the house right now, but I just asked my mom because she obviously knew a little bit more about it, and had said like the owners after that consistently always had issues.
Wow.
So the last woman who actually owned the house, I'm not sure if she was crazy before she moved in, but I guess towards the end of her owning the house, she legit had some mental issues, we'll say, because of something, and they're not really sure what, but she basically became insane from living in this house, and they don't really know if it's because of decades of this entity being in the house and or that girl living there first, or what the situation is. But Helen Creighton did include that the girl as one of the poltergeists that are here in Nova Scotia.
Unreal. And one of the things too, like about Nova Scotia in particular, is that, you know, a lot of our population is around harbors and I mean, these harbors have been in use for hundreds and hundreds of years. So you just don't really know what could have been on the land, what could have happened in the harbor. They say water is a really good source for energy traveling. So it's just really hard to say.
Well, it's really good that you brought up harbors.
Yeah?
Because my next story has to do with
Oh.
being in the water. So
Yes.
to my other grandfather, who was born in Ireland, so this is based a little bit around that, there was a ship called, actually I don't know what it was called now that I think about it. Oh, sorry, the Empress of Ireland. It was rammed by a coal ship in the St. Lawrence River in 1914.
Okay.
It took only 14 minutes for it to go down, basically.
Yeah.
So it was quick.
Yeah.
But it took down over 1,000 people with it. It was located in only 40 meters of water near Rimouski in Quebec.
Yep.
The ship has been a well-known site for salvage divers, almost from like the beginning, basically. Anyone entering the wreck knows that they must navigate hallways and staterooms utterly
No, thank
choked-
you.
choked with the bodies of men, women, and children who spent their last moments in the frantic clawing at the walls, trying to get out, basically because of this huge ship filling quickly with very cold water.
That would not be a good way to go.
No. The first, I guess they're called brass helmeted divers, like the original divers,
Yeah.
to explore the ship in 1914, reported shining their dim lanterns at crowds of bloated, pale faces, contorted in horror. There's just skeletons everywhere, 'cause all those 1,000
Oh, that
people
sounds awful.
would have been stuck in there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess people have like still to this day visited that site, gone down there, because in that day and age, I guess people didn't remove people. They would have just left them
Okay.
because they wanted the spirit, like they wanted that connection, I guess. Like they don't want to remove anybody and just leave them with their family members, because it would have been a lot of families or relatives and that kind of thing. So yeah, just a haunted ghost ship at the bottom of Rimouski,
Wow.
or by Rimouski, sorry. Yeah.
Yucky.
Yucky.
No, thank you. Do you want to play a little game?
Oh, absolutely.
Do you want to play a little game of Would You Rather?
Oh, totally.
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, go for
right.
it.
So these aren't all ghosty ones, but they're funny.
Okay, good.
So Jen,
Yeah.
would you rather have to announce to everyone around you whenever you have to fart throughout the day, or would you rather pee your pants daily?
I'm definitely gonna go with announcing that I have to fart, because who wants to fucking pee their pants all day?
I know. Then you'd
It's so nasty.
have to go home all the time and clean your pants.
Oh my god.
And I feel like maybe you already announced.
I do, most of the time. I think that's just common courtesy to anybody.
That's really sweet of you.
Thanks, yeah, I know.
Okay, number 2. Would you rather be without elbows or without knees?
I'm definitely, oh, that's a tough one, actually. I thought I had the answer there for a second.
Then you thought about it.
You know what? I'm going to go with elbows still. Even though I like to eat, I can still eat with my toes. And I'm a very active person, so
Or you
I
could just
need my knees.
mash your face.
You know, and people can get really like offside with this and say that I need them for other reasons. But like, I really do need my knees. So see you later, elbows.
See you later. Nice knowing ya. All right, number 3. Would you rather spend a romantic candlelit evening with a dead celebrity ghost or an alien?
Definitely going with the dead celebrity ghost, because if our fucking theories are wrong and Tupac is dead, then I'm 110% going out to dinner with Tupac. So fuck y'all.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely 100%. Awesome.
Okay,
What do you
my
got?
turn.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, my first one's a little gruesome, I guess, but I was just going to ask, would you rather be buried alive or burned alive?
Oh, my God.
Sorry, I had to go there. I had to go really off topic there for a sec.
Wow. I've heard that being burned alive is like the absolute worst way to go.
Mm-hmm.
But being in a like casket and people thinking that you're dead when you're actually alive and then slowly suffocating. God, Jen, I don't know. I feel like burning, I'd go quicker. I think maybe I'd. Yeah, I'd have to go with burning. That's awful.
Sorry. Yeah, I just...
Do you have another?
And
Do you have a nicer
no,
one?
I went a little like all over with this. So, okay, next one. Would you rather have 500 tarantulas crawling in your room or 1,000 crickets jumping around your room?
Ooh. Crickets.
Crickets?
Crickets.
All right.
Yeah.
They stick in your hair. But tarantulas are furry and...
Yeah, I
hurt you.
don't really like spiders.
Okay.
Yeah, no. Crickets.
Okay, so this one matches with your first one. Would you rather your breath smell like a fart or your laugh sound like a fart? Why are we so obsessed with flatulence? I'm not really sure, but that is my question for you.
Oh my God.
I mean, you could chew gum. It would help.
Yeah, no, but that would be awful because
But then you laugh a lot. So to laugh constantly and constantly sound like you're farting would be...
I think I'd be the life of the party though.
You would be.
People would just always try to make me laugh because I'd be like the human fart cushion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sweet.
All right, well, I guess that pretty much concludes our second
Episode 2.
episode. Yeah. Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, and don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Booze and Bourbon. We definitely had people reach out from the last time.
We got pictures,
yeah.
we got stories, so
Lots
keep it
of
on
stuff.
coming.
So send it through, especially send us through places that you want us or think we should go. Obviously, we're not going outside of Nova Scotia, so we like to keep it...
Maybe later in life.
Maybe later. But for right now, if you have something that's like definitely around HRM or not that far of a drive away, we will check her out and record it and play it back.
Yeah. And again, I'm Kim.
And I'm Jen.
And we're just here for the booze.